Wonderful. So I know it's a small room. It's like, so why does she have to have a microphone? Well, I had laryngitis for 2 weeks, and because we've been going hard at helping families rise financially and just working in the community, boots on the ground. And so I've been talking so much, right, running my mouth, and I couldn't talk for 2 weeks almost. So I found that if I use a microphone, I don't strain my voice so much. So if you bear with me this evening, I want to welcome you all this evening thank you and welcome you to East Square Artworks. This is a beautiful facility that belongs to Whitney Peckman and her husband Saeed. And if you haven't had time to really just kind of take in their collection and their artwork, please do so. I'm Robin Whitehurst, and I'm a financial professional and a community advocate. And I'm here tonight. This is part 2 of a discussion that we're having regarding how we got here. And what we have designed these sessions for is so that, let me say it this way, in response to Growing Rowan, that was sponsored by Craig Eds and the county, we recognize that the voice of the black community was not heard. And as a response to that, we wanted to bring people together so that as a community, blacks and whites and browns and everybody could have a chance to talk to one another about what the issues really are, the way we see it. So we invite you into our experience tonight, and we're going to have a discussion. We have special guests that are here with us and a few that we're still waiting on. And in the meantime, what we're going to do is eat. All right, and we're going to get started right at about 7:30, giving some time for others to get here and time for you to chow down. We said the ones who get here early get to eat. So we wondered if we had enough food. So we think that we do, and you're all here early. So without that, without much more from me right now, I'm going to let you go grab a plate. I would like you to really introduce yourself. I would like you to really, you know that Kenny Muhammad's like in the background giving me instructions, right? Who knows him, right? If you know him, right? So I love you, my brother, okay? So yes, we're going to let everybody introduce themselves, please, and you don't have to use a microphone, but I would ask you to just stand up, say who you are, where you're from, why you're here, and welcome. Wonderful. Again, I want to welcome you to our discussion tonight. This is how we got here. That's the name of this discussion. So there's a pretty provocative slide up on the screen right now because the conversation, for those of you who were not here on Tuesday, has been about changing or creating a new model of reality. Okay, a new model of reality. And even though these signs aren't up anymore, we still feel this. And what it is that we are inviting everyone to do is to have the experience. Okay, we invite you to see it from our lens. Okay, and for those of us who get it, for us to come onto the same page together so we can agree on what the issues are and then move forward to solution. So today is really about solution, all right? And this is a dialogue, not a monologue, although I'm gonna talk a lot, but I want you to talk a lot too, okay? So between myself and Antonio, and of course, you know you're gonna get some interjection from Mr. Muhammad in terms of guiding, everybody laughs, ha ha. In terms of guidance for the conversation, because we do have a plan. All right, fair enough. So the question that I want to pose to you immediately is, or let you know that this is permission based. So because you're in the room tonight, you agree to have this conversation with us, yes? Okay, very good. We want it to be permission based because it could get to making you feel mildly to moderately to significantly uncomfortable. All right, and that's where we want to go. Fair enough? All right, very good. So I'm going to run over on this side and get my clicker. So this is day 2, steps to solutions. The whole purpose is for all of us to rise, helping families rise. And for many who came up and introduced themselves, you heard them say that, you know, we're part of World Financial Group, you know, so this is not a join me night, okay? That's not what we're doing here. I just want to let you know that. But we are here to be a financial disruption in the regular conversation, okay? So it's about RISE. And what does RISE stand for? The resilient implementation and strategic execution of our plan. That's where we're going here, okay? So together, we rise. We cannot solve our problems with the same level of thinking that created them. That's Albert Einstein. So I'm just setting us up here to kind of clear our minds and begin to have a conversation that's new. We're not here to rehash the old stuff. This is about where we're going. What is the way forward? So a new model of reality. Think. New model of reality. What will we teach our children next? A new system for living. So here's a child being taught how to pick cotton. All right, this is conditioning from a very young age. And it was so appropriate that Holly, how old are you, Holly? Where is she? How old is Holly? 11, right? That Holly opened up the session for us today with her introduction, because a little child shall lead them, right? So when we have this kind of, we know that this is the past and this is the reality, and we're talking about creating a new model of reality. And another way to say that is a new paradigm, but that's so old. You know, people say that all the time, and it really is creating a new model of reality. So I want to throw this slide in there because Holly said that she comes to hang out with us and we're teaching her some things, right? So one of the things that she's learning is the rule of 72. And what I would like to do right now, if you give me a moment, we showed a video in the first one. I want to show you another video right now. Is that okay? All right.
This is the rule of 72. You should stay until the end of this video. Trust me. The rule of 72 is the amount of years it takes for your ROI, return on investment, to double. The higher your interest rate is the least amount of years it will take for your money to double. A lower interest rate means it will take more years for your money to double. Example, let's take 3 individuals, all aged 18 years old. Their names are Alicia, Tyrone, and Shauna. They are all working and have saved $10,000. Each have taken their money and invested it. Alicia has invested her money at an interest rate of 4% return. To know how long it will take to double her money, we must divide 72 by the interest rate of 4%. 72 divided by 4 equals 18. This means it will take 18 years for $10,000 to double. Let's look at how Alicia's money will grow and what her age is every 18 years. At 36 years old, her money will double to $20,000. By the time she is 54 years old, her money would have doubled to $40,000. And finally, at 72 years old, her money would have increased to $60,000. Unfortunately, Alicia will have to work a job even in her old age because $60,000 at 72 years old? That's not enough money to live on. Tyrone has invested his money at an interest rate of 6%. Again, we must divide 72 by the interest rate of 6. 72 divided by 6 equals 12. It will take 12 years for Tyrone's money to double. At 30 years old, Tyrone's money will double to $20,000. At 42 years old, his money will double to $40,000. At 54 years old, his money will double to $80,000. And by the time he is 66, his money will have doubled to $160,000. This is still not enough money to live on. Shauna has a higher interest rate of 12% return. 72 divided by 12 equals 6. This means it will take 6 years for $10,000 to double. When she is 24 years old, her $10,000 would have doubled to $20,000. By the time she is 30, it would have doubled to $40,000. At 36 years old, her money would double to $80,000. By the time she is 42 years old, that initial $10,000 investment would have compounded to $160,000. At 48 years old, Shauna's investment would have increased to $320,000. At the early age of 54, Shauna can retire because her investment would have reached $640,000. As you can see, Shauna can retire at a younger age and doubles her money quicker every 6 years. Often, people think that saving money in the bank is the best way to build wealth, but leaving your money in the bank is a $600,000 mistake. Banks use the rule of 72 to make money on the cash you leave in their banks. They take 12% and leave you with 4%. They earn $600,000 with your $10,000 and give you $40,000. You must get mad at your financial situation now, not tomorrow, because anything you need today, you should have started it 5 years ago. For your future to look bright, you need to put in the work today. Peace.
So this is a kind of reality that we're moving to in our plan. So let me just switch back over here to where we were. If I can find it. Yes. There we go. And play. The rule of 72. How many for the first time you heard about that? Right? So before you met me and Brother Muhammad, was it that it was your first time hearing about it when we told you about it? Yeah. Right? So this is the kind of knowledge, information base that we are bringing with Brother Muhammad's and our boots on the ground into every household. That's why you heard people getting up here talking about, I'm taking my license, I'm getting ready, because we get it that it's our responsibility to take control of our community, all right? But that does not excuse the policymakers from creating good policy so that we all can live together comfortably. Okay? All right. Financial literacy is the most important factor in our financial success. I'm going to defer this conversation to Antonio to talk to our partnership with him at Wells Fargo and what he brings to the table in terms of when we learn this information and we couple that information with the power of home ownership, we can change the tax base, right, in our community. And most importantly, we bring wealth and the beginning of legacy into the reality of people in our community. Antonio?
All right, so we've talked a little bit about home ownership when I first started. So Tuesday night, I think it was, Tuesday night, we talked about understanding the difference between assets and liabilities and the true fact of how a home is an asset. So we talked a little bit about how people specifically within our community, we start out, you know, one of the key factors is getting a job, right? And once a person has a job and has certain earnings potential, then home ownership is something that we at Wells Fargo, we're definitely striving to help individuals with. So as I was sharing on Tuesday night, when you start looking at where we are today in our economy, interest rates right now for home ownership, you know, they're somewhere in the ballpark about 3 to about 4.5%. A lot of people have the misconception that you need 20% down in order to own a home. In today's environment, that's not the case. You can get into a home for, you know, as little as 3% down, or possibly nothing, depending on your financial situation. And as I explained on Tuesday night, Right now at Wales, we have a lot of programs for individuals, again, with jobs, earnings potential, with certain credit scores to come in, and we've got different programs which can assist individuals with that 3% that is actually needed in order to get into a home. Different programs there, you probably have heard of, like sweat equity programs. We have grants which we can provide to individuals in order to, again, obtain a home. Now, the other part that we talked about, and just so that people understand the differences in assets and liabilities, when you start looking at a home, I talked on Tuesday about location, location, location is the key to purchasing a home, and the fact that most homes, they're appreciating in value, whereas other assets, for instance, and some people consider cars assets. As I shared on Tuesday night, when you drive that car off that lot, that car typically depreciates by 5 to 8%, whereas a home, an example, shared the other night. I've got a home, and let's say my home I purchased it at $250,000. Over X period of time, again, depending on location and how much that interest rate is that you're paying, that home can appreciate to well above that $250,000 that you initially paid for. So home can appreciate, example, my home has appreciated from $200,000 to $450,000. So now that becomes a true asset. And when you go into a financial institution, a bank or any other type of financial institution looking potentially for a loan, we will be hard pressed to turn you away when you have that type of equity built into a home, and you're showing that as an asset on your financial worksheet. So those are some of the things that we definitely want to bring to the Rowan County area. The different programs, again, working with individuals in this room, individuals not in this room, so that everyone can hopefully realize that American dream of home ownership. So I'll pause there and see if there are any questions. Well, it just depends. So if you got a W-2, so if you're getting a W-2 from an employer, typically we're looking at somewhere 18, 24 months. If you are self-employed, those are some different rules that we have to look at. We have to look at your earnings and your liabilities, things of that nature. But we can definitely, help you with putting together your worksheets, things of that nature. And like I said, just look forward to working with individuals here. And I think Sister here had a question.
What type of, communication or, I don't know, maybe type of programs that are going out to Rowan County residents to know what's available at those parks?
Well, we have all sorts of marketing campaigns going on right now. You can easily, we got branches. I think there's a branch right out here off of, right here on Main Street. Yeah, that you can go in, and we've got what they call home mortgage consultants that work in virtually every branch that will be more than willing to sit down and talk with you. So there's that program. Then we've got other home mortgage consultants that are more virtual, that if you go online, we've got a program where you can pretty much provide us with a couple key pieces of information, and within 24 hours, one of our mortgage consultants will be reaching out to you to gain information about your potential interests.
Good? Everybody good?
I think we've got a couple more
Question?
questions. From a housing perspective, interest rates right now, we're pretty much keeping stable. I'm sure you've probably heard where Treasury Secretary came out probably maybe 3 weeks back, and they raised the Fed prime rate by like a quarter of a point. From a home ownership perspective, our home rates are staying pretty stable. Like I said, right now, right around about three and a half, 3.9, somewhere around there, for a 30-year. Me personally, I would not recommend 30 years for anything. Just to be honest, right? Honest conversation. I would, tell anybody 15. And if you look at 15 years, the amount of money that you'll have to pay to actually, again, own that asset within 15 years, you're talking about somewhere in the ballpark of maybe $200, $300 more dollars per month versus extending that out 30 years, saving that, quote unquote, saving that $300, but over the life of that loan, paying 2.5 times what you originally signed up for that particular home. But as far as Dodd-Frank, there's lots of talk right now about what this administration is going to do with Dodd-Frank and rolling back a lot of the regulations that the former administration put in place. A lot of that is not concrete as of right now, as far as how it's going to impact individuals. There are other legislation that's in play that feeds off of Dodd-Frank, such as CFPB. And when you start looking at like CFPB, which is the Consumer Financial Protection Board, they actually kind of partner and feed off of one another. So rolling back Dodd-Frank without rolling back CFPB, it will not have as much of an impact because the CFPB is there to really protect the consumer's best interest. So as that information is, as things change with this administration, I'm here. Brother Muhammad knows how to reach me. Anybody here that needs to contact me, if they're interested in owning a home or purchasing a home, by all means, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I've got tons of contacts within our bank that can help you out in various ways. I think I saw another question over here.
Business loan, is it basically the same or is it totally different rules and regulations?
Business. Okay, business from the standpoint of home ownership or just business loan in general?
Just as far as owning a business, buying a business, say a store or something like that.
That's different, yeah. It really depends, again, when you start talking about business loans and businesses in general, there's so much that goes into the determining whether or not your organization is going to be, something sustainable. So there's a lot of factors that go into business loans that we could definitely have a conversation about. But yeah, it's completely different from that home ownership model.
I thought I had a big voice. Do you ever do loans for, or do some creative loaning for things like cooperative housing units,
Yep.
where a group is? I'm thinking of something like Habitat for Humanity.
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, for co-ops, we definitely do co-op loans. And again, we've got individuals that specialize in co-ops. We, to my knowledge, have not been involved in a lot of like, I would say programs for Habitat. We do a lot of donating to Habitat, and we donate not only dollars, but we're really big in sending out team members to participate in the home building activities. So that is something that we definitely are active in around the country. So I've participated in programs in Des Moines, Minneapolis, San Antonio, here in Charlotte, or in Charlotte as well, where we've actively gone through, donated dollars, as well as put teams together to actually go out and help build homes.
Do you think that it's something that you would be able or willing to work with a group if we came with a concept that was out of the box in terms of financing houses on a cooperative basis?
I think we would definitely be willing to listen, gain understanding of what you're looking to do. So,
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
What are the credit score requirements now? Are they still at 640 and up?
It depends. I'll say it depends on the area. I tell people all the time, since 2008, when the financial sector really took a tailspin, we and other financial institutions, we've had to reevaluate what all plays into making a loan. So, you know, credit is, as I mentioned on Tuesday night, one of the factors, but it's not the only factor that we look at when deciding to loan money for a home. So it's, you know, you look at the property, you look at the individual's ability to repay the loan, and of course we do look at your Beacon score. Personally, I've seen as low as 620 for getting a loan, but we also factored in their earnings, and so there's a lot of different things that go into determining whether or not an individual is eligible for a loan from Wells Fargo.
If a person was interested in like buying like an office building or something like that, would they still qualify for like home lending or anything like that, or mortgage lending?
I'm not sure. Can you elaborate on what you're?
So say I was looking at like some property out in the Salisbury area, and they had like an office that was just open for sale. Could I come to you and ask for like a loan and buy that office, or would I have to go somewhere else?
So are you looking at that property as your main residence or commercial? Yeah. So if that's commercial usage, you know, if you're potentially maybe a co-op that you're trying to turn that building into, to maybe apartments, is that what you're?
I was just asking, like, if with any like mortgage situation, because I really don't know.
Yeah.
I just always thought like I could come to somebody that handles mortgages or lending and then get that loan for like an office building or something like that. I didn't know it was like too much of a difference.
Yeah, so if you're talking about more commercial use, that's completely different. Yeah. But if you were looking at it from a commercial perspective and possibly turning it into like apartments or something of that nature, you know, that would be something that we could definitely talk to you about. Yeah. So, you know, when we start talking about commercial / home, we have done some lending in that space where, you know, maybe if the downstairs portion is for some type of store or something of that nature, a restaurant, and then upstairs being for your primary residence. Yeah, we have done things like that before.
Any more questions?
On the 1003 application, did they take into consideration
Start again, please.
on the 1003 application, did they take under consideration assets that you have that might to help you qualify for loans?
Absolutely.
Would they consider life insurance as part of the asset class if it has cash value built
If it
up?
has a cash value, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Roy, why don't you introduce yourself while you got the mic so everybody knows you.
Hello, good evening. My name is Roy Cooper. I'm a senior marketing director with World Financial Group, and I'm glad to be here.
All right, any more questions? Thank you, Antonio. Give him a hand. Yes, yes. So why is that important, right? That we can have the Vice President of Wells Fargo in this room, so we can ask the kinds of questions that could come up, because ordinarily he's not coming to our house, right? Now here's something Antonio doesn't know. He's getting ready to know a lot of. Help, okay? So we're partnering with him, boots on the ground, right? We're hitting every household in East Spencer, okay? And as many as we can get into Salisbury. And someone asked what the marketing plan is. Boots on the ground. We have to get this information into homes. So those of us who are financial professionals have to lock arms and team up with those who have the funds, those who have the expertise, and those who look like us. Not to the exclusion of others, but you have a 22-year-old here asking a question about commercial property, just trying to get some clarity. Okay? So where else is he going to go in his experience and have this? So that's part of why we're having the conversation. Yes, it's about financial literacy, but we have a plan for home ownership. I sat and talked with some people yesterday, and we mapped out a 5-year plan to move people from where they are now into homes, right? And we're going to do it through Antonio, all right, with his guidance, if that's all right, sir. All right, yay! All right. So, how do we get there becomes the question. How do we get there? Boots on the ground on Saturday, January the 28th. This is the last thing that I know that Boots on the Ground sponsored, right? And for those who may or may not know, there's been violence in the community. People are paralyzed and afraid, and there's a divide between the us and the them. And you can pick your side if you're the us or the them, right? It doesn't really matter. The fact is that there is a divide. And so knocking on doors, and I'm giving you this information secondhand because he's not going to come say it. Okay, so Brother Muhammad and a team of brothers generally go door to door after there's an incident, a shooting of a young man in the street, whatever the case may be. The young girl that was killed who was in the house, minding her own business, right? Straight bullet, okay? There's no trauma unit coming to help. So Boots on the Ground goes and knocks on the doors of family members, of community, just to have the conversation, to see what's really going on with people, to hear the anguish, to hear the fear, to hear the anger, okay? But that wasn't working. That doesn't get us a solution, right? Because you open the door and they're still doing the same thing they've always been doing. And we keep having the same problems that we've been having. So the question becomes, how do we get there? And Boots on the Ground has transformed itself into a financial literacy program, all right, for economics, because we understand that we get to master our own financial destiny. and create legacy. If our parents had known, they would have told us so. But they didn't know. And so the video of the little girl, the 10-year-old, they could have taught us the rule of 72 when we were in the 5th grade. It is short division. And people go from the cradle to the grave and never know that information. Okay? We talked on Tuesday night about there's a $250,000 cap. The FDIC will insure your money at the bank up to that amount. There are also laws on the books that the SEC has that if you're not an individual investor, there's certain financial information that is against the law to share with you. So who's going to share that information with people who need to know it most to build wealth in families, to build legacy in families? So we're building an army of financial professionals in the house, okay, to take on this most important issue. And that's part of the conversation. And we want you to be really clear about that. I had no idea that everybody's going to get up here and say, and I'm with Financial Group, I'm with World Financial Group, and I'm with World Financial Group. And it's really wonderful that we're proud and we're learning things that we never knew before, because it's just, it is available, but hasn't been available to us. True that? All right. So a holistic approach, the holistic process is a community effort. And the discussion is really about reconciliation, okay? So when we talk about reconciliation, I want to be the first one to just kind of bust it out and say, you know, I took issue with the word reconciliation, because I thought that when you reconcile with somebody, it's because you had a good relationship in the first place. And then you kind of come back together and reconcile, right? So as far as I know, and this is the part I'm working on, from the time people who look like me came to the shores of North America, we didn't have a good relationship. So I take issue with the word reconciliation, okay? I'm more on the level of like, can we get some forgiveness here? But there's a process to get there. So I expressed to you that this conversation could get mildly to moderately to significantly uncomfortable, all right? So here we go. We have a step-by-step plan. You have to have a plan, right? So in everything that is successful, in any leadership program, the thing that you always hear about is those who fail to plan to fail. So we have to have a plan. So this is actually on the blackboard downstairs. Okay, this is not like pulled from Google Images. We wrote this, okay? Step 1, acknowledge the wrong and the admission of the intentional, continued commercialization of Black and brown people. Right? Right? Why is that right? So what does that look like?
That looks like marginalization, gentrification, social inequity. That locally, that looks like the analysis of impediments.
All right. Anybody else? Sir? Misinformation. Mm-hmm. What else does it look like? And I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. This is a discussion. What does that look like? What does it feel like? Non-communication. Being in a fog and not knowing how to get out, but still not even knowing you in a fog. Say it again. Another form of lynching. Yeah, another form of lynching. Admission of the intentional, continued commercialization of Blacks. So when I think about it and I say, well, when we got here, it was not a happy landing, right? And so in our community, we say that Plymouth Rock fell on us, right? So that might be something that you never hear in any other community, right? We say Plymouth Rock fell on us. Well, we get to say it out loud so we can get past being angry about that. We don't get to stay here, to live here, and talk about where do we go from here and how do we get there? And that's why the discussion is important. So Kelly and Angel and Brother Melvin, your voice is important. Nan and help me, Tamara. Do people call you Tamara? Yeah. Yeah, okay, Tamara. Okay. I like that. You know, and Jaquan, your voice is important. And if we don't begin to speak it out, then every day we just keep living with it more and more, and it never goes away. Right, Malik? Right? Okay. So who else? What else? So I showed you the picture of a toddler picking cotton. It all started as a commercial venture. So in order for us to get the healing from this, we get to have a commercial venture. So we get to have the vice president of Wells Fargo in the room. It's a commercial issue, right? It's not a black, white, brown issue. It's a commercial issue. And the policies set the commercial issue, and it's been perpetrated generation after generation after generation, and we are here to be an interruption in that continuation. Okay? Comments? Yes, sir.
The golden rule is,
I think it's on. Yep.
okay, the golden rule is do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. But in a commercial society, the golden rule is he who has the goal makes the rule to keep the goal. So we've got to learn how to get some goal so that we can start making some rules to keep some of the goal.
All right. Right? That's what this is about. Thank you, Brother Asim. Anybody else? This is a conversation. This is a conversation. Thank you. Would you take the mic, please?
So
Say that one more time for us.
it's wildly important that you see how you see yourself reflected in others. So the fact that you're a vice president and a young black male is very important, that other young black males see you as a vice president instead of seeing you as, since you're in the banking business, a bank teller and only ever a bank teller. And I think that's important for everybody. Everybody. The graying of America, seeing older people still have successful jobs and things like that. I think it applies to a whole lot, but the picture of the little kid, that's all they ever saw. Therefore, that's all they'd ever be. And so putting yourself out there when you are a little different and you've made it, you got to keep doing that.
Thank you, Tamara. Yep, well said. Mm-hmm. Anything else? What else comes up?
Well, in real estate, and when I was in New York City, I worked in commercial real estate with the brokers. Well, I was their administrator. I wasn't the broker. I should have changed careers. Maybe I have some money now. I know better. But anyway, in commercial real estate and looking at residential real estate, and the South is a little different than the North, but real estate is real estate, and black folks are told where they can live at. So the isms still sit there. So even in them barriers, I don't think when we hear the word arrive, what did we arrive to? And because, yes, you can hold a title, but you still told where to go and where to live. How do we get beyond that? Because when I hear a mission of intentional, commercialization of blacks, if you out of the box, still in the South, and you out of the box, and then you just don't fit in with the crowd. You know what I'm saying? So when you out of the box, you stand alone. So, and in the South, I thought the South would have moved on and grown up a little bit, but it still seemed like it's still stuck in this back to the cotton field. And I refused all my life when I was in the North. I didn't want to work in the state job. But when I came to the South, that was a big thing. Work for the state, work for the state. So now, work for the state, you know. But who wanted to work for the state? Because I felt that was commercialization of blacks.
Yes. Corporate plantation. Yes.
I think it's more or less like we've been taught not to be resilient. We've been taught to just take what you can get. It is what it is. Roll with the punches. It happens. You got to struggle. But we don't understand, like, you don't have to struggle for the rest of your life. You can struggle, but you're supposed to struggle to get in the clear. It's nice on the other side. You just got to fight to get through it. And so we just sit around and we just like, man, all right, we good. All right, we good. Yeah, my mama, she works a 9 to 5. My dad, he works a 9 to 5. This is what I got to do. Not, oh, you know, I can be a business owner. He owns that business. He owns that corner store down the street. He might not look like me, but he owns the corner store down the street. How did he get there? He owns the laundromat. He owns the car wash. There's other stuff out there. You don't got to be a basketball player, a football player. You don't got to be a dope boy to have money. You just got to be resilient and go after your dreams and your goals. But we just don't teach that in our communities enough. And even when we are sitting there and we're talking about it, sometimes it's difficult because you told, like, man, shut up, man. I'm just trying to do something else. We're going to get there. You talking crazy. But if you constantly putting that in somebody's brain, yeah, not everybody going to listen to you. But you got to put it out there, and you got to at least let them know, like, this is what it is. You don't got to be broke. You don't got to be what they tell you got to be. You are who you are, but you great. We all great. We kings and queens, and we got to be that.
Thank you. Extraordinary. We're going to keep that out there. So we are extraordinary, and so what everybody has to say is important as well. So I'm not here to critique that, and I'm going to say that over and over again. But we need to hear this conversation. We need to hear what Tamara says. We need to hear what everybody has to say in order to understand why we do what we do. And what are our goals and dreams? That's what that brings us to. Step 2, seek repentance and atonement. Address the wrongs. The analysis of impediments. So we're in Salisbury and near East Spencer, and there are 9 impediments that has been an internal report that the city has done on themselves that says that all of this redlining, okay, told where to live. They already know what the problems are. So we talked about policy. Policy. How is it that we're going to affect policy? We get to talk to those who create policy, become those who can change policy, okay? And if necessary, just infiltrate, right? Right? So since it's a commercial world, right, we're just going to say we need to make more money, right? Goals and dreams. We need to make more money. So we have a goal that, yes, we have to address that, right, Brother Muhammad? And we are addressing that. Second, to deal with the Eurocentric schooling alternatives. We have to have some alternatives. Someone said misinformation, right? So, and miseducation, okay? So the reality is that we're less than 100 years out of slavery, yes? Okay? It is what it is, okay? So my grandmother's mother, my mother, they didn't know the Rule of 72 themselves. So they loved us, but they couldn't teach it to us because they didn't know. So now at 60, I know, right? Do you think that my great-granddaughter is going to grow up knowing? Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're having a conversation inside households to change the goals and the dreams, right? And I won't say change them, but evoke them, okay? To evoke the goals and the dreams, and then show the strategies, the financial strategies, the policy strategies, because I said in the beginning, because we get our act together does not absolve the community from doing the right thing, right? Okay? So that's why it's a together conversation. But this is us talking to us. You hear what I'm saying? Okay? This is we talking to us, all right? So that we get it that boots on the ground, we have, you know, people always saying, well, lift yourself up by your own bootstraps. Okay, well, the bootstraps are dollar signs. All right? And we're going to continue to drill this and have this conversation because you cannot change policy because the ones with the goal, the ones with the goal rule. And unless and until we can take care of our own households, we will always be told where to live. And then when gentrification comes, they move you and tell you where to live someplace else. No meetings held without the input of blacks and browns. The secret meetings, the meetings that go on. Now, let me be the first to say, we don't participate at the level that we need to participate, okay? But that's because this conversation is going on. Everything's all right. Don't worry about it. We're just going to struggle. We just, you know. Right? And it's silenced. It's silenced. We get to have our own meetings. Okay? We don't have to wait to be invited. And then when there are meetings, we get to show up with a plan. Not just to be in the room and talk a lot. Okay? All right? Do the work of change first. And the first change starts where? Right? So the conversation is supposed to make you uncomfortable, so you start asking yourself questions. Questions about how you care about yourself, how you care about your community, how you care about the others that look different from you, from us, from we're asking the quote unquote majority community, which is an oxymoron because there's more black and brown people on the planet than there are white people. Okay, so just right, just the whole conversation is twisted. So so just bear with me here, right? So if the majority population, right, could begin to have the heart in the conversation to engage us at this level, when we bring it at this level, we could begin to do the work of change first. So when we talk about reconciliation, let's change together. Let's change together. Now, a lot of times we can't get in the places where they are, right? So I belong to a women's group. It's $600 a year to be a part of it, and you pay dues every month, too, okay? So you got to have some dough to just get in the room to network with other women of means. So we're having a commercial conversation about change. So what does seek repentance and atonement really look like, Mr. Muhammad?
Well, you know,
Microphone.
From a political standpoint, all right, from a political standpoint, in Salisbury, the city council would adopt the analysis of impediments for public discussion. Not just for you come and get your grievances out, but they would set up a task force and look at each of the 9 confessions or omissions. And that's not going to happen unless you got a strong NAACP that understands what class action litigation looks like. That's not going to happen if you don't have social organizations that are about social justice for everybody, but they don't participate in the analysis of impediments. So, you know, so in the past couple of years, I've been pushing this since 2014 when it came out. And in the black community, I elected black officials and appointed black officials, and our black intellectual class, they refuse to deal with the analysis of impediments. To the point that they'll come to East Spencer and seek me out, and they'll tell me, Muhammad, you need to we need to change the optical view. I'm like, well, why are you coming to me? All I got is a slingshot, and I got a army that's advancing with tanks and electronics and money, and so I can't change my view. My back's against the wall. I gotta just fire these little 5 peppers that I got. And so what happened is I elected black, an intellectual class of blacks. They either don't know about the analysis of impediments, after I've been putting it out there every day for the last 3 years, or they don't understand it. And when they do understand it, they want me to see it different than what I know that it really is. And so we got 2 people in here in the room that are running for city council this year. This is going to become a campaign issue. I'm going to make it single-handedly a campaign issue, because if you're not serious about at least talking about it, then there's no need to jump past atonement and seek repentance and the other 3 steps and then jump right to reconciliation. If nobody else fights it, I'll fight it on my own, because there's no need to reconcile if nobody has made an atonement yet.
Thank you. Thank you. So the policies have to be addressed. But if we don't know what the analysis of impediments is, I had to read it on Facebook, right? So we'll send it to everybody, okay? Because we want everybody to know what it is, because it's not a single-handed fight, all right? We're not going to let it be, okay? Yes, we will. We will. Okay, Ms. Rick said, please send it out. Okay, so we will. All right. Any other comments here? Yes, microphone, please.
You know, we've talked a lot about the majority-minority, or minority-majority, whichever way it goes. And I think that we make a mistake with that terminology. I think we have to say it for what it is. That there's the dominant and the not dominant. And we have to start looking at not how many, but who's at the top of the food chain. So we're at the top of the food chain, white people. And why is that? Because we dominate the economic structure. We dominate the finances. We dominate the banking. We dominate everything that has anything to do with money. So I think we ought to stop talking about majorities and minorities, because suddenly black and brown people are the majority, and it isn't going to make a damn bit of difference if we don't get the money part down right. So let's say it for what it is.
Agreed. Yes, agreed. Because I've been waiting for the word oppression to come into the room. And that's about maybe as close as we're going to get. Because I don't want to have to direct it to where you don't want me to direct it, okay? Let me just tell you, because sometimes I'm a whole lot radical, all right, although I'm cute. That's a joke. But my point being, thank you, Whitney. I'm waiting for the word oppression. That's why I'm like, okay, so where y'all at? Because so authenticity and transparency is what gets this to change. And what we've done is create an environment where we can say whatever it is that we have to say, so we can get it out, because we don't get to reconciliation until you have the comment like Whitney said, right? So what's really going on? What's really going on? Who has the mic? Pastor, we'll bring it back to you.
I don't think it's always it.
And people scared to talk. Black folks are scared to talk. And it's just learned behavior throughout the years. I grew up in a household, I was taught to be silent. Whatever goes on in this house stays in this house. And I'm sure many of us probably grew up that way. And that's the way black folks were taught. Yes, we do know all about, black folks know all about white supremacists. And we do know who holds the power. But is it right? No. Is black folks still scared to speak? Yes, because they unlearning what they learned. That's why I love the generation that we have now going on. A lot of older people do not understand it, but they do have a voice where we didn't have a voice at the table. The generation that's coming up now do have a voice. So moving beyond that, I need help. I mean, that's why I'm sitting here. I know all about the white supremacy. You know, I know about my history. One thing, you're not taught your history. And the only time you can be taught your history is that little piece in school in February. And you can't even teach everything that you want. You definitely ain't going to teach about the Nat Turner and the Jim Crow and everybody else. You better just stick with Martin Luther King and be safe there, and you might have a job, you know. So when we start as a community of blacks finding out who we are and whose we are and being able to say, I'm free to speak when I'm around white people. So that's very hard for blacks to do. Blacks is taught not to even look, and that came from slavery, where we don't even look at each other eye to eye. So there's a lot of when I say learned behavior, it's a lot of learned behavior. But I just thank Muhammad for just sending me the invitation to be here on today, because I know I need to get my act together, my finances, and I'm pastoring the church. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Pass it back to Jaquan. Oh, go ahead, Nan.
Well, I just wanted to kind of follow up on that and say, I think a lot of white people don't welcome the discussion for a number of reasons, one of which is fear. Before the city council at one point, I made some statement about recognizing white supremacy, and a bunch of white people got up and walked out. I mean, it was the fear of if we have to acknowledge that, where does that leave us? I mean, our position of, we lose our position of power if we let people openly talk about this. So I think on both sides, there's a real hesitancy to have open discussions.
When it comes to conversations like this, most importantly, I feel like in households with the black community, we need to start building a legacy because finances is very important. I mean, leaving legacy for your kids to have a chance to make a decision for themselves and not have to make the decisions that the community or how they see things is a big aspect because, as you can see, some people are blind. And if you can get your kids and, to teach them what we don't know, a situation with me is my grandfather was a wealthy man, but my mother wasn't. So, I mean, I grew up in Farmingdale, New Jersey, which is like the country of New Jersey. So I just want to do the same thing he did. I want to take care of my family, and I want to leave a legacy, and that's basically it. I would definitely like to have conversations with them about stuff like this because this is going on. My mother lived in the hood, so I would definitely take them down there and let them know what it is. These conversations that they are going to have with me, and I feel like it's very important to just build legacy and make sure that your finances is good, because if not, you are stuck in that hood or that trap, which is already a judgment zone.
Thank you. So there is no demilitarized zone. Okay, yeah. There is no demilitarized zone. So just feel that. So we get to do the work first. And yeah, everybody's scared. That's why we create a safe place to have the conversation. Because what I know is, as we continue to have this conversation and we get to know one another and we all take it back to where we came from and we start talking about having had this conversation, and this is not the end of this, okay? we begin to change and the people around us begin to change. And it's energetic when we start doing the work ourselves first. Okay, so we're going to move on. Oops. So, seeking repentance and atonement. Brenner Crossing, making amends through opportunity for ownership. So how many know what Brenner Crossing is? Okay, so please give Brother Muhammad the mic. He's about to.
Brenner Street Crossing, beautiful. Beautiful development, $25 million bond that was financed through North Carolina Housing Finance Agency, and it was done in the middle of the black community on the west side. Only problem is they use these Section 8 vouchers, choice vouchers, and some project-based vouchers to pay for the $25 million project. And so a lot of blacks that were living in the old Civics, they were displaced under the guise that they would be able to come back in once the units were constructed. Well, they only going to use about maybe 70 to 86 of those residents, because they need those vouchers to pay for the $25 million bond. So, you know, get your mind around the fact that somebody learned how to move the money from the vouchers to through a nonprofit that don't own the property anymore, but a LLC that really owns that property. And the people that own the LLC, that are part of the LLC, are Margaret Klutz and Susan Klutz, two of the former mayors of the town. One was appointed to the Department of Transportation in Raleigh. The other one was appointed to some crime commission. Get some crime commission in the state, and you got crime running out the roof in Salisbury, but you got a $25 million project where it used to be black ownership. That's gentrification. That's gentrification.
Thank you. So when we have a situation like that, and I toured 9 cities in 13 days about a year ago, and every place we went to, there was a place exactly like Brenner Crossing. So when you talk about we're being told where to live and then we're being displaced, and so the question always is, well, where do we go? And then when you're in Charlotte and you roll up to the light and it's 3 people, let's not even go to Charlotte. Let's go with the corner when you come off the highway into Salisbury, 52 and whatever, I'm new here, right? Ennis Street, right? And it's 3 people begging, right? Right here. Where did the people go? So when you get displaced and you get lied to and told that you're going to be able to come back and live there, you have this hope, but that it always gets dashed to the ground. So where are the people? Where did they go? The fact of the matter is people are making huge sums of money by regentrifying every city in this country. And I don't know if you've traveled around the country. I just got to see what's here, okay, before I start trotting off other places. That's just my calling. But I've seen it everywhere. I've seen it everywhere. So why aren't we talking about that out loud? Why don't we just pick up our suitcase and just go wherever it is that we go? Because we need permission. We need permission to do what? To act.
That's what I was going to talk about, just acting. And I think that leaving and going somewhere it needs to be a change. Either you get up and go or you stay and you make a change. Like, that's going to take a lot of effort when you're dealing with a city. It's not just a room of us. It's going to take the whole city. If it was my opinion, it's just 2 choices I have, is to leave and to create my legacy with my family somewhere else, or stay in the community and try to make it a better community, which starts with renting and home ownership and stuff like that. If you're not trying to own a home or appreciate what do value, it's not going to look like anything. So.
my family came out of Sanford, North Carolina, and it was the push and pull theory back then during them years. Yes, my grandfather was a farmer and very little education, but did have their own land. So it was that push and pull theory. He took my grandmother and moved to New York. Now, since New York is so expensive, because everybody went towards New York to make a better living, or to the north to make a better living, now north is becoming so expensive. Now they're pushing us, everybody back to the south, but where they're pushing us is back like living back on a plantation. So what do we do?
We take off the napkin. You know, I'm a Muslim, but you know, I grew up in the church. And my favorite parts of the scripture is Habakkuk and the part about Lazarus, when Jesus ordered him to take off the napkin and come out that tomb. That's where we are. We don't have to push that down white people's throat, but what black people have to understand is the decline in Salisbury, it means it's time for you to do something. And I'm seen as abrasive, and I know I'm misunderstood by my people, but white people, they understand exactly what I'm saying. And in order to stop the slide, because nobody today has been able to stop Salisbury from its decline for the last 14 years, right? Everybody agree with that? There's people from Salisbury. So in order to stop it, you have to have another force that'll collide with what's going on, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do, is stop it. I saw this morning that the city manager said fiber is here to stay. At whose detriment? At whose detriment? Since it belongs to the city and blacks make up 53% of the population, you've got a major stake in fiber, but you don't know how to claim it, right? And then Ms. Ricks and Tamara, when you get on the city council, we want to petition you guys. If you get on there, one of the things we got to do is understand what the concept of political power. Political power ain't putting the fist up in there. That ain't political power. Or doing the Black Lives Matter. That ain't. Political power is forcing your way onto the agenda. Right? That's why they do a consent agenda. The consent agenda means we had a meeting before the meeting. And we're going to vote everything we want, which means we're going to move policy and money and products and resources where white folk want them done. And in Salisbury, like any other city, you got sectors. No, you got government sector, which is all your municipalities, and then you've got those affiliations, those are housing authorities and that kind of stuff. Then you got the business sector, which is the investor in the community and the infrastructure. Then you've got the nonprofit sector. Then you got us, citizens. And when you see crime on Main Street in the middle of the day, and you don't see white businessmen and white businesswomen tearing down City Hall for them meetings to complain, that means they complicit. They took the money in 2000 when they knew that Salisbury was going to become black by 2014. So they got the grants and stuff to fix the buildings, and they're complicit. They can't go against the city because they already took the money. See, I don't work in Salisbury. I don't work in the United States. And I don't want no job. I don't want no grant. I don't want them to give me. All I want to do is get the napkin off these young brothers' eyes and teach you how the city really operates. How it operates against you individually in your household, and how it operates against the community, especially the black community. We had city council people, they ain't the real problem. The real power is over in Country Club, who decided that they would let Salisbury High School District and Jersey City District decline. Let the housing values drop so white folk can reinvest so they can put the West End transformation plan together. And they took a calculated risk that the crime wouldn't get that bad, that they had enough police to handle that until somebody got appropriated $100 million to bring fiber to life. $45 million went into fiber, and nobody know where the rest of the money went, right? So now you got fiber, and because fiber is draining the city coffers, they had to lay off senior police officers. So now you don't have enough police to do anything with the crime. At the same time all that's happening, these young 14 to 15-year-olds, the opiates, right? They taking your prescription medicines and putting them in a bowl, zanies, and they cooking it and smoking it, and they shooting and killing people and shooting at each other at 8 o'clock in the morning right in front of the police. So you can keep your windows down and hide and be scared to walk, or you can get involved and tell the truth. I'm not trying to talk no truth to power. Ain't no power when you go from top of the world to one of the worst places in the United States after having 20-something millionaires follow you. So ain't no real power in Salisbury. There's an illusion that our senior blacks are following to our detriment, to you young brothers and stuff detriment. So I'm just telling the truth. And so any council member, I don't have no favorites on the council. Anybody that want to address that analysis, they are enemies of all the people.
Keep it out there. Yeah. So we have to have a voice that knows the statistics, right? Because we're in conversations that when we start having this, they say, we don't want to talk about that, right? Or we're in conversations where we're too busy, or we're distracted, we're entertained, we're watching sports, we're doing all the things that keep us distracted that's killing our households. So how do you revive the household? You have to revive the household with knowledge and financial power inside the home first. Then you have the confidence, because when you have enough wherewithal now that you can stand. Because we say, well, why do people move when the gentrification? Because they just trying to make a living, man. They just trying to feed their family. They just trying to keep a roof over their head, right? It's real. But this is the information that we have to have as financial professionals, as those who, like Sister said, I got to get my house in order, right? We all have to get our house in order. That's why we're in the community with the financial needs analysis, helping people see where they are, what their goals and dreams are, how we move them from where they are to where they say they want to be in a 3 to 5 year period of time. It don't take no whole long time, right? The little girl's talking about the rule of 72. We know how to get 12%. Right, y'all? Yeah. We know how to get 12%, right? So you don't have to have the money in the bank getting less than 1%. Okay? Yes.
State Employees Credit Union, they're actually offering you on every savings account 0.25 percentage rate on all of your money.
Okay, is that 1%?
That's not even close.
Okay. Okay. So at 1%, go ahead. Say that.
I'll tell you right now, we're not even offering that. So from a savings account perspective, if the goal is to retire, don't do that. That's just real talk.
So it's one thing when we have our what we call BPMs, those people in the room know what that is, right? And for us, we get up here and we talk about, you know, the rule of 72 and an interest rate is, and what the interest rate is. We get a banker to sit right here and tell us for real, right, what it is. So you know we're telling the truth, and that inflation is 3.5% and all that, and what that means to you. And how is it that we increase the cash flow so that we have confidence, because we're building legacy so that we can fuel our own war machine, because there is no demilitarized zone. Pass Roy the mic, please.
I don't know if anybody is going to like what I'm about to say, but I think that we're talking about how white folks are operating and the government is operating against us. And those things are true, because I haven't heard anything here tonight that I disagree with. But I think the other component is, how are we operating against each other? we cut each other off. Some of us, you know, I heard somebody say, you know, the difference between a rut and a grave is really the depth of the hole. And a lot of us will look at how these municipalities and government and local government will start digging that hole for us. And some of us will say, give me that shovel, you're doing it wrong. And then we start digging a hole And this is how you dig the hole. And we make it even worse for ourselves because we have, I think, an issue with identity. There's an identity crisis. It's not just an economic crisis. I think that there's an identity crisis in black communities. A lot of us just don't know who we are. Where do we start? Do we belong in Africa? Do we belong here? Where exactly do we belong? And there's an issue with that. And it's not something that you're going to just, I think, reverse, tomorrow. There is an education process. I think that the most devastating thing about an identity crisis is that it creates desperation. I think when you see yourself a certain way, life will turn out the way you see it. So if you don't have an identity and you become desperate, then you make desperate decisions. And it becomes a situation where it becomes self-perpetuating. And one of the things that I know about education that I appreciate about what you're doing here tonight is that education is expensive, right? Either in multiple ways. If you're poor, you don't have access because you have to travel to go get it, and you may not have the money to go get it. But the cost of not getting it is also very expensive. So the fact that we're going out there with boots on the ground and we're knocking on doors, we're sitting kneecap to kneecap with folks, we're reaching out to the churches, and we're saying, look, this is who we are, this is what we can do, this is how you can push yourself up. And then the process of earning money and all of those things, that's a byproduct of development. There's a leadership program in place that we have that's going to help push you up, this constant development. In order for you to have some sort of success out of life, you got to start doing things different. You can't go into solving a problem with the same thinking that got you into trouble. So you got to there's a process of change. And change is uncomfortable for a lot of people. But I think when we start talking about all of these problems, the trap sometimes with that is being stuck in the problem and not necessarily talking about the solution. The solution is just going out there and doing it, getting people to buy into a common denominator, a concept, a message of leadership development, financial empowerment, recognizing, the mistakes that you've made, and recognizing the success and the strides that you've made also, and holding yourself accountable, because at the end of the day, no one's making you pull the trigger. It's that identity crisis, though, and I understand where that's come from, but at the end of the day, we have to be responsible. And you make that decision, and it's good that we're all getting together and we're talking about it. And it starts like this. I think part of it is, one-on-one. I can talk to this brother right here. If he buys into my concept, he might talk to this brother right here. And then I forget what the verse says in the Bible, but where there's more than one gathered, right? So I think there's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of truth to that. But we push each other up. We focus on the solution. We focus on the education. We focus on pushing each other up. We focus on using love as an instrument, as a tool, as the engine, and constantly keeping our eye on the prize. That's all I have to say about that.
I would agree with everything he said. I'm usually the quietest person in the room, and I don't usually say much, but this is on me. But us as my black people, all we ever wanted was equality. That's what we've been fighting for, praying for years and years and years. But we settled for integration. We didn't ask for that, but it was given to us. Before we was integrated, we had our own stores, we had our own hospitals, we had our own communities. We provided for ourselves. But as soon as we integrated, we lost that. We lost our identity. Because we started to have our identities, even with the young kids. So when we integrated, we kind of settled and got comfortable. And so now that's why we don't have our own businesses. We can't sustain ourselves. So I'm not saying we got to go back to that, because you can't, as soon as you mix the sands together, you can't separate it.
Well, we're already segregated. All you got to do is
To-
the railroad track and you'll see a difference.
To a certain point, but I'm talking about like the schools, and just having their own businesses. We go to everybody else's communities and markets. We don't support our own businesses. And so we just got to get back to the basics and find our identities. And I think, when we start doing that and start teaching our kids how to have their own business, about financial literacy, and that's definitely a start.
I remember reading this book. I think the author of the book is Kwanzaa Kunjufu. I can't remember the name of the book, but I remember this. Say it again? That might, but that's not the book I'm talking about. But I know in one of the books, he mentioned how maybe some of the larger corporations can go get things at a much cheaper price. And, if you use milk as an example, they might get it for pennies on a dollar, where we might have to get it for the whole dollar. And then in our communities, we charge more. And so that's part of the reasons why we don't support, our own businesses. But collectively, if we go out and we create that bond, that economic strength, we can go out and get more volume and get things at a cheaper price. It's just a matter of, going to your point of creating that support. But I think it all starts with having that talk of, leadership and being held accountable. And you know what, everybody, wants to talk about, a revolution, but when it comes down to throwing your knuckles, not everybody wants to fight. But you can't make any progressive change without throwing your knuckles. You got to get in there and get dirty. You got to fight, and that's just part of the hard truth. But I think it starts one by one, and then we just compound our efforts from there. And like I said, constantly talking about a solution, because everything that we're talking about tonight is true. These are all the things that have happened to us, and the end result is what you see on a day-to-day basis with brothers and sisters getting shot, innocent kids, being, killed by stray bullets. It speaks to the dysfunction that's, rampant in our communities. Part of it is, I remember someone asked me this question. He said,
So, Roy, I'm going to interrupt you because I know you.
All right.
Pass the mic.
Okay. All right.
Excuse me. It's okay. It's okay. Before you do, Kelly, Roy is one of our very powerful leadership trainers. And having not been here on day one, we covered a lot of, so thank you, okay? And we'll continue to have the conversation. We appreciate you, Kelly.
Okay, so since we brought it up, I did want to talk about the identity crisis, because there is a true identity crisis going on, and it's with our youth. There's a saying that everybody passes around now that says, I am not my grandmother. And so what they are now doing is they're waking up, and they are looking and seeing what they know that they should have, but don't have, and have never been told how to get it. And so for a lot of them, they're at a point of, I'm going to get it by any means necessary. And that's why we have a lot of the crime going on and a lot of this other stuff taking place, because they are not their grandparents, or not even their parents, or not even us. So where we sit back passive, just letting anything and everything happen to us, they're going out and taking what they feel is theirs. And so I think a key part of us getting into homes is educating them on how they can get what they want without the process they are now going through to take what they want. They're still taking it, but not in the same sense that is causing detriment to everything and everyone around them.
Thank you. So we change what's in their hands.
I'm sort of shy of saying this because I may be incorrect, but since everybody's speaking their opinion, and if I seem to seem...
Come on, Brother Melvin, just spit it out.
I just feel that there's a knowledge that's not here yet. There's something here that's not here, that's supposed to be here, that's not here yet. And it's here to come. You know, I mean, the answers to all this problem that we're going through, we all seeking good ideas and doing financial this, financial that, but to me, the answer is just not here yet. How, like you're saying about the youth, how to change them to know who they really are. And where that truth is going to come from, that's what we need to find out. It's not here yet. That's why we'll be looking for all these answers, but I just feel it's just not here yet. It's going to take time to get there. And we you know, as we go there, we do the things we do, financial literacy and all that. But the key right now, what I feel, is that the answer, the true answer to making that change, is just not here yet. And that's why it's causing us to have this switch.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you that the answer is within all of us. And the change first starts with us and knowing who you are. And when we think about identity, and it's not just with the youth, it's with all of us. And you can just read on the Willie Lynch. If you ever got time, just know the Willie Lynch letter, and then you will understand what the identity crisis is. Light skin versus dark skin, brown skin. I mean, it's in every culture, you know. I got curly hair, you know, so a sister who would naughty wouldn't like me because I got curly hair. So, but I mean, this is just what it is. And when we learn who we are and stop looking at, well, you are light and you are dark, and you, because you think you're better than me, or this and that, that's all slave mentality, and we still hooked in that and blase, blase. You got to read up on your history, knowing who you are. So the identity crisis is very strong, very rich, but the transformation comes within ourselves. I will want to piggyback on what my brother said back there. Yes, when we were segregated, yes, when we were segregated, there was more power in the community. There was more power with our brothers and sisters. We had more medical doctors coming up. We had more. It was more. But when we decided to join, and this not the segregation, and decided, you know, the marches and all of that. I'm tired of marching, but I be out there and I still march. But I'm tired of marching. I need action. So that's why I'm sitting here on today, is because I'm sick and tired of marching. Yes, Black Lives do matter. I stand with that protest, and I stand with this protest. But the transformation comes within. And if they don't see me make a change within myself, my own people, how can I tell them to change? So the change comes with me.
Right, responsibility. So there's a lot of, so we talked about the segregation in that. So Black Wall Street, right? He said everything but the words. From 1830 to 1921, we covered this on Tuesday, right? 600 businesses, 21 churches, 21 restaurants, 30 grocery stores, 2 movie theaters, 6 private airplanes, 1 hospital, 1 bank, and its own school system. And 21 millionaires. Okay, Black Wall Street. When we do that, they actually, on the rumor that a black man assaulted a white woman in an elevator, they burned the whole town down. Hundreds of us died, and they bombed it. So, hell yeah, we got an identity crisis, because this is frightening. And there is a plantation ghost. Ooh. Right? There's a plantation ghost that grabs us and tells us, you can't do it. Or as our mothers and fathers used to say, child, they ain't gonna let you do that. What makes you think they gonna let you do that? Right? Because when we did it, and when we do it, we face, there is no demilitarized zone. Okay? Talked to an artist yesterday, and he had a art gallery in South Park, and as long as he was going in and out and fixing it up, and they thought he was the handyman, everybody was cool with that. When it turned out he took the paper down off the windows and he shows up as the owner, they immediately, it was 6 months before they got him out of there. It's today. And so while we're not talking about, we're not wanting to belabor the problems and get to the solutions, okay? It's that it's going to take all of us with any wherewithal at all to come together, have the conversation, get over it, the plantation ghost it, and the chocolate sister and the light-skinned sister, right? So the nappy head and the high yellow, ain't that how we say it, right? Had to come together and just get it done, because it is time and the answer is within us, okay? So I had to go back to some of the things that we looked at on Tuesday. So I'm just going to scroll back through so that we understand that we're having a full conversation here, okay? The difference between how much black people make and how much white people make. At the 50s and 60s, we making $38,000. They making $320,000. Commerce. Same thing. Problems in our community. What we need to do with households. We're talking about getting to home ownership. What are we doing? It's the buckshot approach. These are things that we're talking about. Why is it not working? Because we don't have a holistic approach. We got to ask more questions. Forgiveness, reconciliation, and then restoration looks like a healthy community. So what does this mean today? These are the kinds of questions that we have to ask ourselves in light of what has already happened. We are the solution. Sitting here today, we are the solution to the degree that we keep having this conversation and put the plan in effect. That's why every Tuesday, every Wednesday, and 2 to 3 times a day, I'm on appointments with people talking about how to get their household in order, because it's the households that have to be rescued, not the community. The households. The households. A way forward together is a legacy discussion, Brother Jaquan. What if policy changes, impediments are corrected? What if industry-related job training is embraced? Because the county has job training, right? So Commissioner Greg Eds was here on Tuesday night. He told us that there are jobs that they will pay for all the training. The answers are here. We're not participating. Okay, hello? So we can keep talking about Jim Crow and hang in and all that stuff. Yeah, we got to get that out. But the fact of the matter is that there are industry relevant job training that's happening today that we're not showing up for, because we got an identity crisis. What if household incomes increase and home ownership grows? Solutions. Are we increasing household incomes? Can we? We can. Can we increase household incomes? If I tell you how to get out of a tax now, tax later situation and move into a tax never situation, did I just increase your income? If I can tell you how to outpace inflation at 3.5% and tell you how to grow your money at 10% and more, did I just increase your income? Can we increase in household incomes? Yes. Can we increase home ownership?
Yes. Absolutely.
What if the internal, external violence stops? So yes, we are our own biggest problem, right? We dig in the grave, we taking the shovel and dealing the grave because of some internal stuff we got going on about we not good enough. We are not enough. The stories that we've been told and the story that we continue to tell ourselves that every day, every time we try to do something, we got this voice back here that I call the plantation ghost that tells you you can't do that. It's a liar. Okay? This is the 21st century, right? You can sit at home and work in front of your computer and make a living. Hello? The violence has to stop inside and out. When we change inside, the external will change. It's energetic. Y'all gonna get it when I keep saying that, okay? Equity. He said the only thing that we've been trying to get is equality. Equity equal peace. Equity. When the brothers on the street have money in their hand that they didn't get from selling dope and running guns, and they can get the things that they want to have because they have an understanding of how the Rule of 72 works, okay? And will it take time, Brother Melvin? Yes. So we have a 3 to 5 year plan to begin to put people who don't have homes now in homes. And Whitney and I had the conversation of whether or not you can do the whatever she said, and right? And you said yes. So, okay? Equity equal peace, right? And when you own a home and it appreciates, what do you have, sir? Asset. And inside that asset, what's growing? When I come, equity grows in the house, correct? Okay? So we're putting it all together. We have the tools, we have the resources, we have the voice, we have the power. We know the statistics. All we have to do is get those in charge of the policy to change the policy, and that only happens when we exert political power and get what we want on the agenda. Correct? Is that how it works? That's what I heard. Thank you. Give yourselves a hand. This is a continuation. Right? Can you feel that? Right? So when you go home, when you're driving home, tomorrow when you're thinking about it, because my prayer is that from the time that you leave here, there's a little like Robin Whitehurst on your shoulder whispering in your ear, you know, don't let the plantation ghost get you, right? And for those that we call the majority conversation, I need to be thinking about what black people might want to have to say about this situation so we stop having these private meetings and what's going on at the country club and put a stop to that and come talk to us. We are not satisfied, so we have to change so that we can get satisfied. Yes? Yes, yes? Yes. Very good. So anybody else, come up here, please. Excuse me. So we have partnered, would you come up, please? Whitney. So first of all, I have to say thank you to Whitney, right, for creating a space that, I don't know if you knew that this was going to be happening in your house and who you invited in, right? But I want to thank Whitney and Saeed for being partners with us, for partnering with us, right? This is like an unlikely pair, right? Whitney pretty much single-handedly handled these 2 days in terms of fixing the food, okay? Because I was doing the slide presentation and running everybody that's a WFG associate, please stand up. We put 42 people in our agency in the last 2 months. Yeah, okay, have a seat, thank you, thank you. It's a takeover, in case you weren't clear. Okay, we come in and we're going to grow our own money. I want to thank Whitney. She's one of our partners, right? She just got licensed, she and her husband. And she keeps us clear. Thank you, Whitney. Thank you. Thank you. So I kind of didn't tell you that we were partnering with you.
I knew that. I knew that by default when he called me.
Right, so yeah, it's like that. So we have a plan, yes. Okay, and thank you, yes, for coming out these 2 days. And when we do these kinds of things, you know, we told you that it was going to be from this time to that time, but when it starts happening like that in the environment, you just have to let it happen. And I appreciate that you stayed.
I know this guy.
Okay, okay, that's...
I've been knowing this guy for 9 years, and I know when we have these type of programs that they're going to run long, and that's okay, especially when there's good dialogue and good people here that really want to make a change. And one of the things that I kind of want to close with, from my perspective, is, you know, Einstein once said this. He says, the definition of insanity is continuing to do the same thing and expecting a different result, right? And if we continue to do the same thing and expect a different result, that ghost is going to continue to haunt us. And so we are the change. And as long as we focus on making the community better, but first making ourselves better, right? Really focusing on self and stop penalizing ourselves. You know, we talked about it on Tuesday night. You know, I grew up in the projects, right? But I didn't want the projects to be who I am. I didn't want the projects to define myself, right? So, and that's the same way with us, right? We've got to make sure that we are moving ourselves down a new path and bringing everybody along, right? Everybody in this room, people outside this room, your family members, right? That's how I see us evolving as a people, and not looking at this, right? Or this, or lack thereof, right?
Thank you. We appreciate you. Appreciate you. Brother Muhammad, come over here, please. So I just got to Salisbury, right? I didn't know none of this. I didn't know it was 53% and all these statistics that I know now. I didn't know there was any such thing as the analysis of the impediments. Now I know all 9 of them, okay? And between these two, right, and me in the middle hearing the dialogue and working with Nan also, thank you, Nan, there's no way you can understand what is happening in this small space and then see how it affects the entire country, right? So this is like what they call it, the microcosm, right, of the macro. We make the change here, and they help me to get a grasp of what's really going on, and then take the tool that we call WFG, right, and put it on top of it, because now we have information that we didn't have before, right? And so we can use that financial information, financial literacy. And Brother Muhammad has really helped me to grow up in this as a movement of activism. That financial literacy is really a movement of activism in our community. So thank you for Boots on the Ground and morphing it so that we could do it with you. And I want to give you the mic so you can close us out. I'm done. All right. Thank you so much for coming.
Okay, I want to speak to Ms. Ricks and Tamara. Tamara, you've got a huge influence in the community. But more is going to be required. And same for you, Ms. Ricks. I'm on a board. I won't name it because I feel like I'm compromising my seat on this Housing Authority board. But if all the white people in Rowan County and in Salisbury wanted to do the right thing tomorrow, the problem that they'll have is in their minds, there's not the availability of funds. But if you look at the housing authorities' budgets and look at the reserve accounts, one board has over $900,000 in reserve. And they'll tell you that the money can't be used to spawn charter schools or to create housing programs to get these people, the homeless people, into some type of house. They'll tell you that money can't be used like that. But housing authorities are like municipalities. The only thing the city of Salisbury can do for Salisbury Housing Authority is appoint who's on the board. Once they're on the board has its own life. You can't tell it how to spend the money. You can influence it, right? But you can't tell them how to use that money. Even HUD can't tell them how to use that money. Once they submit the budget, HUD allocates that budget and they can spend that money as long as they don't break the federal law. So as a housing commissioner, I know that every time I walk past the railroad tracks up here or drive by, those people that's under the bridge, those really are my responsibility. Right? But I'm on a board that's ignorant. And if they're not ignorant, then they part of the scheme to make sure that money doesn't flow where it needs to go. So as elected officials, your job is to make sure that the money is distributed in an equitable manner. With 53% minority community, you can see that the money is not being distributed in an equitable manner. But you guys make me be the bad guy, so I have to call names so I can stop it. And then if I can get it to stop, if I can slow it down, then we maybe will save some lives out there. Because right now, it's just the black on black thing. But it's starting to spread over into the white community. It used to be they just got killed in East Spencer where I live. Well, I walk the street at night. I'm scared to come to Salisbury after 9 o'clock. So if you're going to run and you don't want to deal with the real stuff, I'm going to call you out. I'm going to call you out. And I hope you guys take a real interest in that, because that's what the real problem is. See, the violence ain't the boys doing the shooting. The violence is the politics. That's what a real criminal activity is behind the scene. And when you allow your police department to just go to hell and you put the drugs on the street and the guns on the street and you know you don't have a police department that can handle, that's what a real crime is. You put the whole community at risk. And this board that we got now, the mayor, to me, she's a criminal. When she criminalizes a whole black community and projects a riot based on one email. So yeah, she needs to go, but we don't need no more like her, right? So whether you guys do anything with this analysis and shift policy, you can tell me all day about loving and I'm watching policy. And when you won't even let an issue hit the agenda, I know the policy is not going to shift. And so all the stuff that Greg Ayers is doing is good stuff. I'm on board with it. But until you change the policy, nothing good is going to happen in Salisbury for white people. Now, for everybody that's got them bleeding, I don't like when the black people die and get shot in the little 7 years. I hate it, but we in a war zone. And until you realize that, and teach your children that, and teach your husbands and your family that you're in a real war zone, you'll walk out there ignorant and get shot and then be mad because you didn't do anything about it after leaving here tonight. But we're in a real war zone in Salisbury. I thank everybody for coming. I hope this ain't the last time we'll see you. I know it ain't the last time you'll see me or hear from me, but thank you.